How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to be looking at building a little spice rack for a kitchen that I'm currently building. I'm going to be using some American white oak, and here are the dimensions for it. So as you can see from this image, we're using some 130mm finish pieces of American white oak for the uprights of the spice rack, and we've got varying thickness shelves as the getting narrower as it goes towards the top of the spice rack, and the actual parts that form the rack, so that hold the spices in, I'm going to use a domino. So it's going to be basically a giant long domino made out of American white oak. So I'm going to machine my own version of that up and just plunge the holes using the Festool Domino machine to create quite a nice solution. Instead of using like a fine 10 or 12mm square dowel in that section, I'm going to use that nice domino sort of shaped piece. So it should be quite an interesting looking spice rack. So first things first, I'm going to plane the timber up. So it's all 20mm finish stuff. So I've got some X 1-inch timber in stock to make this from. Right, so I've machined up the bits of timber for this spice rack. We've got 20x130, and we've got various thickness shelves from 130, 90, and I think 80mm in depth. What I didn't mention at the start is it's having a backing board over the shelves. So I'm going to use a 10mm birch ply backing board that's going to be painted, and that's going to sit in behind the shelves in a little rebate. So the shelves are actually slightly narrower than the uprights, so the uprights will encapsulate that backing board so that you don't see the edges of it. So we'll have to do a little rebate detail on that. So I'm just going to cut everything off to this drawing. So my uprights won't cut in at 1358, and I'll cut the widths of the shelves off as well, cut them all to length. So let's set this out to our drawing. It's handy having a drawing with all your measurements on, so you can just easily reference from that and set it out. So you want to choose your face, so set the points that you're going to see and any imperfections we want to cut out in any of the cutouts where possible. So I'm looking at this piece here. I've got a bit of like the sapwood there that's showing a bit lighter, so I'm going to try and hide that within the rebate. So if that bit sits on the inside where that board's going to go, we can get rid of that. So just going to work each piece and look through it, find the best orientation for each one, and then just put a face mark on for where we want our face to be. So I'm going to work with that as being the outside is the clean face. Looks pretty good. Pretty nice, it's very nice. I like. So if we put them together, I've got two outsides. We can then mark out these points. Sure, I'll speed this bit up, but I'm just marking out the shelf height positions and squaring them over each piece of timber, ready to domino them in place. Retool. So I'm just I use this jig for all my carcasses. It's a bit big to use for a spice rack, but it's the same principle and saves making another one. So it's got a square reference face on the underside, and then I reference off this edge with the bottom of the domino plate that's got a centre line on it. So I put a marking where I want the domino to go in from this edge that it's going to reference from. So you push that up to the edge of your workpiece, then your markings on this section here are where you can reference the bottom of the domino from, and you'll get a square domino at that position from this reference face. So I usually work from the top of the shelf with all my 18mm stuff, so the centre of the domino is 10mm from that base plate. So if you work from the top, it gives you a thicker amount above the domino than below, which makes it more strong because the weight is going to be acting on the domino from above, so you want as much material above as possible, and it's easiest to work from the top. So I'll clamp this on, and we've just got to remember that we're working from the back on this spice rack. So if you can see the little drawer in here, the back is flat and the front has these curved sections, so we're referencing everything off this back edge so that it all works out from the same face. So I've got the top mark, I'm working on the inside edge because I've marked this one outside. Line that up with the line. Pop my clamp on, I need a bigger clamp. A bit of kit this clamp. Clamp him up. So I don't know if you can see on the domino, there's a little centre line here for referencing off the bottom of the plate there. Probably not going to show up on there. I'm just going to use that to reference on these lines that I've put on the board. Remembering that the top shelves are narrower, so I don't need the front line putting in. Now I can do the appropriate tenons onto the shelves themselves. So these could be marked off of the uprights that I've just done and reference the holes, or we could use a combi square and put a mark on the actual shelf. I'm just going to set out which way up I want these, choose my best faces and edges for show. Simplify that with a face mark and an edge mark. And that's the side I've got to work from, referencing my 10mm, so that works out to be the top. So we were 30 from the back, so if I mark all these out. That was it 90, 70.